Hi, everyone. So we are moving on to phase 2 for your research project. So I'm going to quickly go over some information that will help you through this next phase. Okay. So let me find the PowerPoint. Okay, so we are now moving on to phase 2. And phase 2 is basically your research and then creating what we call a literary review. Okay, so that's what we're going to spend a few minutes talking about. So literary review is just looking at the research that exists on your topic. So at this point, you hopefully submitted your topic for phase 1 and gotten approval for it. Now you're just going to start your research. Once you have all your research, you'll put it together in your literary review, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so hopefully you already understand this, but just to make it real simple, what is research? Research is just a conscientious study of an issue, problem, or subject. So research is trying to find out what your issue is and do a conscientious study to try to get as much information as you can on your topic. Okay, you have to think, it's conscientious, so you think about what are you researching. So why is research necessary? Well, there's different reasons why people do research. Sometimes they're just curious and want to know something. So sometimes maybe you're sitting there, your friends say something and you quickly go on Google and you look something up. That's research. Sometimes it's to address a social problem. So there's something that's bad or going on and you want to address it. So you need to first figure out what it is. Who, what, where, when, how, why, what is it? So you just need to gather some basic information about it so you understand that social problem. Sometimes it's to develop and test a hypothesis. So once you understand the problem, maybe you then want to come up with a solution. You want to test whether your solution is going to be satisfactory. For our research project, we will do the second two. First, you're going to be researching your social issue, finding out the who, what, where, when, why of it, how does it impact society, what exists, what solutions have already been proposed. And then for the second part of our paper, we'll do developing and testing the hypothesis, okay? So for this week, though, you're just doing the social problems, the who, what, where, when, and why, okay? Now, how is the research process complete? I've already talked to you about this, okay? So we've gone over this. This is ultimately going to be the whole process, choosing a topic, reviewing the research and literature, developing a hypothesis, and then we're going to do the rest of it, compare variables, questions, sample, data analysis, stuff like that. So for this week, we are just going to be doing the literary review. So remember, we're doing this process in a step-by-step way. So you chose your topic. The only thing you have to worry about now for this week is your research, gathering research for your literary review. So we need to begin our research, okay? So what is the purpose of our initial research? What are we trying to do with this research? We want to become an expert on our topic. So once you're done with this paper, you are going to know more about this topic than probably 95% of the population in this country. So you need to become an expert. You want to get as much information about your topic as you can, okay? Now, you don't want to be overloaded. You want to make sure you're getting the research in the right areas. Be efficient with your research. So what are some things you should just be looking for? You want some sources that actually define your issue, tell you what it is, explain what it is. This is just basic information about your issue, okay? General definitions, things like that. So like Wikipedia obviously will provide you some. You can't cite Wikipedia, it's not an academic source, but that might be a good place to start. And then usually at the end of Wikipedia, they'll give you references that you can look at that are academic references to give you that broad understanding of what you need to know about your topic. You also need to know about the history of your project, problem, or issue. How did it come about? How did it evolve? You know, why is it an issue now? What is the background? You need to give your reader some information about how this came about in the first place. And then the third area you want to make sure you have for research is possible solutions. So we know this is an issue. What are some solutions that have been proposed over time to try to fix this issue? Okay, so when you're doing your research, remember it's a conscientious research. You just don't want to go random and just pull all these things. You want to make sure the sources that you're looking at have something to do with some of these three areas, okay? Because you could get overwhelmed with research. So, make it targeted, making it meaningful research and really looking for things that are going to cover topics that you need for writing the paper. So what are literary sources? Where are you going to look? You want texts, you want journals, you want scholarly articles, textbooks, social science indexes, reputable internet searches. So if you're doing internet searches, it has to be a reputable site. So one of the things I want to show you is that the library has created resources for you to help you with this process, right? So if you go to the library page, this is the library page, or this is the home GCC page, and you click on library. If you click on library, you will see up at the top, it says helpful tutorials. And then you have course specific guides. Okay, if you click on course specific guides, it gives you all different courses up here. If you hover over criminal justice, they have created sort of a site for different reputable criminal justice research, okay? Now, I know there's not one specifically for this class, but even just to look at some general information. So I think this one is probably good, the Garrigan one. This just gives you some really good guidelines of these are good databases to look at for your paper, okay? So Gale eBooks, Gale General 1, these are good general criminal justice. Gale Opposing Viewpoints, this is huge. This is one of my favorite databases, especially for criminal justice when you're talking about controversial issues. If you can find your topic in this database, it's really helpful. It's going to give you articles on both sides of your issues. So spend some time, use the databases that exist from the library, right? You don't have to just do Google. Sometimes these are better. They're going to give you academic information that you need. So it's a really good place to go to find your sources, okay? Now, once you have all your research, you're going to prepare your literary review. So we're going to spend a few seconds talking about what is a literary review. A literary review is just an assessment of all your research, okay? So you're just going to identify what research you have and what it tells you. That's all your literary review is. You're just telling the reader, this is the sources that I used and this is what I learned from those sources. So identifies what you already know about the area of study, identifies questions that may exist that you found during your research that were not answered. So you may do your literary review and at the end say, oh, I still need more resources in this one area. So you can assess what you have and what you still need. And then you can make a case for why further study may be important. You're not going to have to do further study, but just identify, oh, if I had more time, these are areas that I would want to look more into. This is what I find interesting. Now, when you create your literary review, it's going to have three parts. You're going to have a brief introduction to your topic, then you're going to have your citation with a brief summary of what that source told you, and then you're going to have your third area, which is going to talk about the area of additional research that you may want to look into. So those will be the three parts that you include in your literary review. Remember, your citations have to be written in proper APA format. So remember the website, the library website has guides. Maybe I'll just spend 2 seconds showing you again since we were already on that site. When you're up here in the library site, if you go to tutorials, again, you can see they have tutorials on APA MLA, okay? So if you click on that, there's a whole set of resources just for APA. So use that to make sure that you are properly using APA citations. I won't take any papers that are not APA cited. I'll just send them right back to you. At this point, you have to be able to do that. Okay, now, What would your introduction look like? Your introduction is going to be some short sort of summary of what your topic is and what your articles told you in general. Okay, this is a short literature review on the stigma of mental illness and the perceptions of dangerousness was conducted. Like 5 likely articles were discovered. So what is your topic and what did you discover in your research? Then after that, you need to have your proper citation. So your title is almost like your citation. You list the citation. Underneath each citation, then you provide a summary of what was learned in that source. So it's going to look something like this. Here's your citation, APA format, and then here's a quick summary, a couple of sentences explaining what you learned from this source. Now, for the paper, for the requirements, you have to have at least 5 sources, academic sources. You probably are going to use more than that if you're going to do a good job, but a minimum of 5 academic sources. Okay, now think about the topics you want them on. General articles just explaining what it is. Our articles talking about the history of how this developed, and articles talking about solutions to your issue. So right there, you need 3 just for covering those 3. So you want to make sure you have at least 5. And then finally, the last part after your 5 sources, look back at what you have. What do you have? Are you missing any areas? Is there more research you might need? Do you have some statistical data to support your information? Do you have possible solutions? What other areas do you think you may need to find additional resources so that you can properly move on with this paper? So take a critical assessment of what you've done and where you still need to go. Reflect on what you've already done. Okay, and be honest. It's not going to affect your grade. If you say to me in your assessment, after I did all this, I realized I didn't have anything on history. That's okay. It's an honest assessment. That's what this is for. I'm not going to fail you because you say that. But now you realize it, and then eventually you'll have to go back and add that piece. But that's important to be honest and to really assess what you have and what you still need. I have posted a sample on Blackboard in my GCC. So if you need it, you can look at the format of how it's structured. Some people are visual and they want to see a sample of what it looks like. So I posted that in my GCC, and you're welcome to look at that and use that as your formatting sample. Okay, so that is the end of phase 2. You have 1 week to do phase 2, so make sure you jump right on your research. It's not an unlimited time. The next phase takes a little longer, so you need to get through this phase so you can move into the last phase and have enough time to do that. So if you have any questions, please reach out. I will be around, and good luck on your research. Oh, and the librarians are awesome. They are really good resources. Use them as much as you can. They're there to help you. So if you need help with any research, please reach out either online or go into the library, and they'll be more than happy to help you with what you need. So good luck with your research, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.